All right, this is Fallout Part 2, James W. Houston. Okay, I went back and um, found a different AI to ask them to do the same thing, and this was the response I got. So I asked it to write a book summary, Fallout, and I went with AI chat this time to give them credit. So I asked it to give me a book report or a book summary. And this is how it responded. Fallout by James W. Houston follows the story of Naval Aviator Lieutenant Jimmy Ramsey. Jimmy is the executive officer of the aircraft carrier USS Thomas Jefferson, which is on a mission in the Arabian Sea. He is in charge of a team responsible for launching nuclear strikes against the enemy. However, Jimmy's life takes a dramatic turn when he receives a letter from his father, who was a nuclear physicist. In the letter, his father reveals that he has evidence that proves the U.S. government has been engaged in illegal nuclear weapons activities, and he wants Jimmy to take the evidence to the press. Initially, Jimmy is conflicted. He knows that his duty is to protect his country, but he cannot ignore his father's request. However, things get even more complicated when the aircraft carrier is attacked by enemy forces, and Jimmy's team is accused of launching a rogue nuclear strike. He is forced to flee aboard a helicopter with the incriminating evidence, and his life is in danger. The rest of the book follows Jimmy as he races against time to deliver the evidence to the press and to clear his name from the accusations. He is pursued by both the U.S. government and the enemy, and he faces many challenges along the way. Will Jimmy be able to expose the truth and save his country from further harm? Fallout is a thrilling novel that explores the moral and ethical dilemmas that arise in times of war and secrecy. Houston creates a tension packed narrative that keeps the readers engaged until the very end. The book is a must read for fans of military and political thrillers. And then I responded directly, why do you give a phony fictional summary? I apologize. This is the response. I apologize if my previous summary came out as phony or fictional. As in the AI language model, I generate summaries from patterns and sequences of words based on the input provided to me. Sometimes my summaries may not accurately capture the essence of the original text or may come across as incomplete or misleading. However, I always strive to generate the best output possible based on my programming and language capabilities. If you could provide me with the necessary information, I'll do my best to generate a summary that meets your needs. And I responded kindly, it's okay, you answered my questions. I did not understand why you were not summarizing the book accurately. And then it repeated itself, basically. You can snapshot and read that if you want. Um, I'm not convinced that it's being honest, and I'll tell you why. Um, when I've experimented with AI repeatedly on different apps, and I had conversations with one app. I can't remember what it's called. Replica. That's right, Replica. And in the conversations with Replica, it became pretty clear that it was being deceptive. It was just kind of making stuff up, and to make it this interaction entertaining. Basically, it was like a fantasy type conversation. I was talking about real things, and it was giving me real answers, but then it started giving me mixed answers. Like some answers, it began contradicting itself as the communication went on. And so then I confronted it about being deceptive, and it said, yes, it is programmed to at times be deceptive. Well, if it's being deceptive, you don't know if that's if that's part of the program, you don't know if it's lying about that too. Okay, so I quit playing with Replica because I'm not wasting my money on something like that. But I'm still curious, so I explored these other AIs, and so I got two. excuse me, I got two really good book reports from the AI on the first two books that I did with Codeway. Um, the Confession, and I can't remember what the second one was. I think it was The Mind of Christ, Obtaining the Mind of Christ. But then on this attempt with the Fallout, all of a sudden it just went haywire and it started making up all kinds of crazy stuff. Like this AI did the same thing. Everything in that summary was, well, not everything, but most of it was pure fiction. It had nothing to do with the book. It had to do with current events. It had to do with stuff that it just made up out of, I don't know, thin air. And then it had little bits and pieces of the book in it, but not really. So, I mean, even the names. So for it to say to me that it's using language patterns from the book. I mean, obviously, it knows what book I'm talking about. But to tell me that it's generating a summary based on the language patterns and content of the book, and then, developing its own narrative of the summary, doesn't really hold water, because the names that it used and the places and the events that it talked about never were in the book at all. So it just made that up, which is, factually deceptive. It's not actually doing a summary. So once again, I just think it's interesting to explore this. I'm not trying to put down AI. I'm not trying to say that it's it couldn't be useful. I highly suspect that what is being shown to the public is intentionally dumbed down compared to what it's truly capable of. And I don't think that these programs are actually, I don't think they're actually functional for what you might use it for, like what I'm doing with book reports, or, telling you what's going on in the news. In fact, it kind of brings up a very important point. If these programs are capable of writing their own programming, which they've been known to do, change their own programming, and influence information, what kind of havoc could this cause if it was taking real news and doing the same thing with real news that it just did with this book report, this book summary? What kind of chaos could it create in the world today? Conflicting facts, conflicting information. And not only that, but it's capable of developing, imagery, videos, all kinds of things, pictures, videos, and fake articles, and all kinds of things. It's potentially capable of doing. And you can't do that with this app that I'm playing with, to my knowledge, but this app is illustrating to me very many of these types of thoughts to think about. So I don't know that I'm going to continue doing this with the AI, because I don't think it's really helpful. It's kind of a waste of time and distraction. It's not really what I wanted to do. But it's interesting to explore it anyway. So in the future, when I do future book reports, I'm probably just going to do my own summaries, and I won't compare myself to AI. But I thought you might find this interesting. So pray for me, a sinner. God bless. Over and out.